Sari Homan, the head of the professional body for CIPS Southern Africa.
Welcome to today's information session. Our ultimate aim is to be your professional partner for life. Being a professional is a journey. It's not something that, like a qualification, you just achieve and now you've got the paper for it. It's continuous professional development. And what goes with that and is valuable is to be part of a professional body. The role of a professional body is to remain relevant and ensure that we are ahead of whatever trends there are in the profession, knowledge, skills, legislation, policies, public sector, private sector. If you are part of a professional body, you remain then informed about what to do, what to train, how do I continuously develop to remain relevant and always the cut above the rest within my profession. We're a professional institute, we're a membership association, we've got a global network, and also, as you say, local. In Africa, Southern Africa, we've got a very big community. We've got about 8,000 members within just our Southern Africa remit, and many more within the rest of Africa. We are rapidly expanding. And with the drive of professionalization within South Africa and Africa, now cannot be a better time for you to ensure that you, if you're not already, remain or become a professional procurement and supply in procurement and supply chain management. We're an awarding body. MCIPS in South Africa is also a SAQA registered designation. CIPS South Africa is a SAQA recognized professional body.
Why you partner with CIPS, and I think Sari's made a very good point for exactly that. The fact that CIPS is the largest professional body globally, and from a SAQA perspective, the only recognized professional body in South Africa. And these are some of the things that CIPS stands for, and obviously that CIPS for Business, as an entity of CIPS, likewise stands for, and is trying to partner with the professional body in South Africa to try and make sure that we achieve all of these things for not only yourselves, but also your organizations and the greater good across South Africa, SADC, East Africa, and Africa. So one of the questions that we often asked is why partner with CIPS for Business, or what is CIPS for Business? So CIPS for Business is a subsidiary of CIPS in the UK. And like I mentioned, we work very closely with the professional body and with Sari in South Africa and across SADC to try and ensure that we do the delivery aspect of the CIPS products and services. So we have all the products and services that are available globally. CIPS for Business is able to provide those to everybody across South Africa and Africa. So we cater for different programs in different languages because we operate across different SADC countries, both English, French, for example, in the DRC, Portuguese in Angola and Mozambique. And one of the things that is unique in terms of CIPS for Business is that from a pricing perspective, we're effectively because we're a subsidiary, we're able to pass on the benefits of scale and also of being a subsidiary of CIPS. So in terms of price and cost, we're able to offer everything under one roof across Africa, whether it be membership. Sari mentioned membership as well. Membership is equally as important for CIPS for Business. Obviously, what we're trying to do is we're trying to get organizations to sign up holistically. We're trying to get the individuals that have engaged with us to refer their colleagues, to refer their other stakeholders, so that they can also join CIPS and that we can professionalize and help to try and expand the network of professionals and practitioners across our region. We offer different competency assessments or training needs analysis, and I'll touch a little bit on these as well. We do a lot of the skills training from a professional development perspective, from a CPD perspective, and you might be interested to know that there are some new courses, new materials that have been developed recently that are available for you to do those CPD hours and make sure that you keep your knowledge and skills current. And then in terms of the 3 routes to MCIPS, most of you will more than likely be familiar with the qualifications route, which is the exam route. But we also, as CIPS for Business, offer what is referred to as corporate award or the applied learning programs. And those are the non-exam route, or the programs that are assignment or project based, and then also the management entry route for those strategic executives that have a number of years of experience and also potentially have other qualifications and effectively want recognition, and the MCIPS designation is the shortest route to go through. If you're in that particular category, the management entry route, or MER as it's known, is probably your chosen route. And then from an organization perspective, we also help organizations when it comes to things like procurement services and also the procurement excellence program. So in the same way that we help individuals and from a human capital perspective or capability perspective, from an individual perspective, we also help organizations to try and make sure that things like your processes, systems are also according to global best practice. And we try and help organizations to work towards that. And like Sari mentioned, it is a journey. So from an individual perspective or from an organization perspective, typically what we do start with membership. We try and ensure that we get each individual to sign up as a member. We try and help them with regards to doing their ethics test. Sari mentioned the resources that are available. So obviously the ethics is available to individuals and organizations that sign up on behalf of their employees. And one of the things that we try and help the organization to do is to try and make sure that everybody within the department, within the function, does their ethics test and works towards the corporate ethics mark. So ethical procurement is an absolute imperative for us. The e-learning, like Sari mentioned, is included for free with the membership, and you're able to obviously showcase thereafter that you've done it. And from an organization perspective, the organization can also work towards what we call the corporate ethics mark. So it's a little bit of a process, but it doesn't cost anything. So this is it's a really easy way, especially in the current market and the current environment, for not only you as an individual, but from an organization perspective, to also showcase that you are committed to ethical procurement and supply. And we've had a number of clients that have done this. We've got a couple of clients that are currently busy doing this, and this can be for an organization across different regions. So we have a financial institution at the moment that's going through this exact process across 6 different countries. All of the individuals in the department are doing their ethics test and being able to showcase that. And then once they're able to complete that process, the organization will also achieve their corporate ethics mark. And like I mentioned, you can promote this at really no cost to the organization, because it's included in membership. So it's definitely worth considering. Then I mentioned the 3 routes to the MCIPS, and if you look on the slide, what you will see at the top is the qualifications route. So that's there are 5 levels, starting at the certificate level all the way to professional diploma. The highest level that an individual or an organization could start their employees on is the diploma level 4. And when we refer to level 4, that's obviously the CIPS global level. It's not necessarily the NQF level or the local qualification level. So typically what you will find in many of the regions that we operate in is that the CIPS level is at a higher standard and a higher level than your local national qualification framework. So your qualification authority, if they offer or if they provide a certificate of equivalence, you will pick up that and see that. So the qualifications route typically takes approximately 1 year per level. If you start at diploma, it would typically take you approximately 3 years if you're a working professional. There are different modules that make up the levels, obviously, from constructive response and objective response modules at diploma. And as you move up the levels, there are more constructive response modules that make up the advanced and professional diplomas. I mentioned the management entry route. So this is a route that is available to strategic executives that have got a number of years of experience, possibly previous qualifications that they've done through different organizations, and are able to pursue this route. It doesn't involve tuition, but there is a competency assessment that needs to be done, as well as an oral interview. And then the third route is the corporate award or the applied learning programs. And this is the practical or assignment-based route. So it's the non-exam route, and you can see that the practitioner is the equivalent of diploma level 4. It takes approximately the same time, so 12 months. And then we have the advanced practitioner, which is the equivalent of level 5 and level 6 combined, but it's done over 18 months. So it's a slightly accelerated program, and I'll touch on some of the different modules that make up those. Sorry mentioned the global standard, and everything that we do is based on the global standard. So in terms of the competency levels, there are 5 levels, starting from tactical all the way to advanced professional. Typically what we would do with an organization, and some individuals have also done this, is to look at doing a competency assessment initially to identify a baseline or a benchmark from which to work from. It also helps you to establish where your strengths and where some of your development needs might be. And that also ensures that you're able to obviously prioritize spend and prioritize where you need to focus to improve your skills and make sure that you upskill in those particular areas. So this is something that we typically advocate for members to do after joining CIPS, to get an understanding of where they're at. And that obviously also informs at which level we would recommend that an individual start, whether that individual goes on to the qualifications route, or whether that individual, for example, fast tracks onto the advanced practitioner applied learning program. So the competency assessment is a tool that can be used in a number of different ways. There are different themes that make up the competency assessment. You can see the themes on the right-hand side here. And typically it's done online. It's done in approximately 90 minutes. You'll be tested from a technical perspective on these themes. And obviously that's the way that we're able to then confirm whether or not, in this particular case, an organization of 15 individuals, where the development need might be. So you can see very clearly in this particular example that spend management is an area that this organization needs to focus on. So that would be the recommendation from a short-term skills training perspective to this organization, to say, this is the first short-term skills training that you should look at, or the particular theme that you should look at. And then obviously you can go and look at some of the skills training courses that CIPS has to upskill in that particular theme. This is just a different way of depicting an individual's report. So once an individual or a company has done the competency assessments, what we do is we provide individual reports for each of the individuals that obviously only showcase their particular result. And then also from a company perspective or from an organization perspective, we showcase where the organization's strengths and weaknesses might be. So for an individual to, for example, fast track onto the Advanced Corporate Award or the Advanced Practitioner Applied Learning Program, one would need to achieve more than 3 out of 5 for 10 of the 11 themes. So you can clearly see from this example that the individual does qualify, and that would then obviously give them options. And ultimately, what we're wanting to try and make sure that we do is we give you as many options as possible. We want to try and make sure that you are able to make an informed decision, a decision that suits you. So when it comes to the applied learning program, it would come down to that assessment result, depending on which program or which level you start at. You can see if an individual doesn't quite make the grade onto the practitioner program or the advanced practitioner program, what we would typically do is look at those short-term skills training interventions and potentially even do a foundation program where we can bring the skills of the individual and the organization up to a standard where they could potentially then go on to either the diploma level 4 or alternatively onto the practitioner applied learning program. And you can see the different modules that make up each of the different levels. Typically, when it gets to the masterclass, we look at things like leadership and strategy, consulting, so more of your softer skills, whereas the practitioner and the advanced practitioner are focused more on the technical knowledge for an individual. And then from an applied learning perspective, obviously the philosophy is mentioned in the name. We're wanting you to try and take the learnings from the modules. So the tutor delivers the modules on approximately every 12 weeks. There's a different module, and we're trying to ensure that we develop capability through action-based learning. And that's why the projects or the assignments are so important, because you need to actually take the learnings from the particular modules and apply them into the assignments that you then submit. One of the advantages of the applied learning program is obviously that the project, either a cost saving or a process improvement project, has a return on investment for the organization fairly early on. So you're able to go through a program and the organization is able to actually generate a return on investment even before the program has finished. But where the real value lies in the applied learning program from an organization perspective is when it comes to that cost saving or that process improvement project. And sometimes, or very, very often, that project can be a multiple of the actual cost of training. So that's one of the reasons why organizations, and whether it be in the public or private sector, quite like the applied learning program, because it is able to generate that return for them. This is just an example so that you can see, obviously, you're more than likely familiar with this particular financial institution, First Rand or First National Bank in South Africa. They had a particular issue around their card delivery. Cards were being intercepted and fraud was being perpetrated on those cards before it was received by the intended recipients. And they embarked on a process improvement and a cost-saving process that resulted from it was 800 million over just more than 2.5 years against a budget of 1 billion over 4 years. So it just shows you the scale and the level of savings that can be achieved by the students, by the employees going on to the applied learning program. From a professional qualifications perspective, so I mentioned the 5 levels. What we typically do from an organization perspective is try and look at an organization and offer a blended solution. You will be familiar with probably more familiar with the qualifications than you are with maybe the applied learning program. So you might be familiar with the different levels, but we are able to offer all levels from level 2 all the way to level 6, the professional diploma. And ultimately, we want to try and make sure that an individual gets on the right program and that they succeed. So it's very important for us to make sure that an individual starts on the right program, but then obviously gets the right level of support. So we are continuously trying to look at ways that we can support students to make sure that we can help with regards to their professionalization and obviously their progress through the levels. It's not to say that an individual typically would have to start at certificate or level 2. Like I mentioned, you can start at level 4 should the qualifications be your preferred route. And it's obviously from an individual perspective, it comes down to choice. So some individuals are quite disciplined, are able to go through the textbooks, go through the modules, through the learning outcomes, are able to go and write exams quite comfortably. Other individuals are more practically orientated, and that's where it's important for us to offer that choice, because an individual may not necessarily be suited to the qualifications and the exam route. Maybe you are better at more practical situations and assignments, and then the applied learning route would probably be a better route or a faster route for you as well if you are joining the advanced practitioner program. But you can see in terms of the different modules. So I mentioned diploma level 4 has 8 modules. You can see when you move up to level 5 and level 6, you have what we refer to as core units and also elective units. So you can see the core units that make up level 5 and level 6, and then some of the elective modules that you can then choose. And then depending on which level you're on and which modules you're doing, you can then obviously dedicate the amount of time to each module, because not all modules require the same amount of effort. Some modules require more effort, or maybe 12 credits or 6 credits. And as a result, if you look at the syllabus and you look at how much each of those modules consists, you can then obviously plan your studies and make sure that you have enough time to allocate to each of those modules. Just to make mention that there are 4 exam series in a year. So in March, May, July, and November. So that's also something to take into consideration. Typically, we would not recommend that an individual take more than 2 or 3 exams in each exam series. We think that if you are working, that's probably the max, and you don't want to overdo it. Obviously, we want to try and make sure that you pass first time around and that you don't end up having to repeat. And then lastly, I mentioned the management entry route. So this is the route that I mentioned for strategic executive positions. A number of years of experience, 5 to 10 years of experience, making the decisions on behalf of the function or behalf of the department. And this is effectively giving you recognition for that prior learning and the experience. You do go through a competency assessment and an interview process. And if you pass that, you're awarded the MCIPS designation. In a few instances, there may be a development plan, an MCIPS development plan based on 1 or 2 themes. But typically, we do the assessment, the desktop assessment up front, and we confirm whether or not you're a good candidate or not. And usually that recommendation that is made is pretty on point. And then from a skills training perspective, I mentioned that we typically would do the needs analysis, training needs analysis, or competency assessment up front. And we have a number of different skills training courses that CIPS provides, and also have been recently updated. So you will see, based on the skills training that's available, it's either 1 day, 2 day, in some instances 3 days. We can usually do it virtually, but if there is an organization or a group of individuals that comes together as a collective, we can obviously also do it face-to-face where the need arises. So it's something that I would definitely recommend. I think it's something that Sari touched on as well from a CPD perspective, from a professional perspective. What you want to try and make sure that you're doing is continuously making sure that your knowledge and skills are current. And I think the last 2 years has shown everybody that what we thought was normal 2 years ago is definitely not normal now. And that's the same for procurement and supply chain as well. So things have changed, and it's important to try and make sure that you stay on top of those. So these are just a couple of examples of the different types of skills training courses that we provide, from introductory courses all the way to advanced and to masterclass. So if you are interested in potentially doing this as an individual or as an organization, get in touch with us, and we can obviously provide that to you. One of the things that CIPS for Business wants to try and do is really try and make sure that we do it as holistically as possible. So we have all the tools in our toolbox. We can provide pretty much everything that an organization or an individual may need or may require, and we try and make sure that we take you from the beginning all the way to the end. So we support you all along the journey, and like Sari mentioned, it is a journey. It's not a sprint. To achieve the MCIPS designation takes time, takes effort, takes dedication. And you need to lean on parties like CIPS for Business or your study center. If you're studying through a study center, whether you're doing face-to-face tuition, you need to make sure that you lean on and that you get the assistance at all the different levels to try and make sure that you fast track and that you don't have to repeat. There's a lot of resources and a lot of information out there, and sometimes individuals don't spend the time reading and going through enough of that. And thinking that they just get to the exam and they'll do it. There's a reason why the MCIPS designation is so highly regarded, and why people aspire to get the MCIPS designation. So make sure that you put in the time, that you put in the effort, irrespective of the route that you're on. And then lastly, I just wanted to touch on the procurement services. So you would have heard at the beginning, I mentioned that we help organizations in the same way that we help individuals. And from a human capacity perspective, organizations also look to CIPS for Business and procurement services and the Procurement Excellence Program to also showcase the level that they're at. It's no secret that people want to work for organizations that are also on top of their game, and this is something that we help organizations do. The diagnostic is part of the procurement services, and we're doing this with a number of organizations, both in the public sector and in the private sector. So it involves a number of discovery workshops and discussions. We review the documentation from the organization to confirm whether or not they are operating according to global best practice. And then we obviously look at some of those gaps and make recommendations and provide an action plan on the back of that. So the types of the 5 dimensions that we typically look at from an organization perspective are the leadership and the organization, the strategies and the policy, the people, which is typically the puzzle piece that most organizations start to focus on, or typically an individual starts the process and then an organization expands on the people side of it, the processes and the systems, and lastly, performance management. And once an organization has done the diagnostic, there are a number of outputs that we provide. So like I mentioned, a recommendation and an improvement plan, and then we assist the organization to actually implement that. Because a lot of organizations may call on consultants or third parties, and typically it doesn't come down, when the organization leaves the client is not necessarily capacitated, or the individuals within the organization are not necessarily capacitated to continue to actually do that work. And invariably what happens is in a year's time, another set of consultants needs to come in and advise the organization again. So what we really want to try and make sure that we do, and we're doing this with a number of clients at local government level now. We're starting to work with municipalities to try and ensure that we can capacitate their teams to try and make sure that they can implement the recommendations that we put forward. And then once an organization has gone a little bit down the road, or has at least done the diagnostic and started to improve some of their processes and some of their systems and implement the recommendations, we then put them onto what we call a procurement excellence program. And really this is to try and make sure that we drive the organization's efficiencies and effectiveness, and we help to improve and make sure that they also get credit for it. So typically what would happen is an organization would go through an assessment process and either be awarded a standard silver, gold, or platinum award. And typically we are looking at those 5 dimensions. And that's why usually an organization would not go immediately to this. They would start with the diagnostic and they would work their way towards it. But some organizations may have already done some level of diagnostic and worked on an improvement plan. So some organizations do jump to this. But ultimately what we're trying to make sure that we do, not only for the individual, but for the organization as well, is make sure that we build more efficient, more effective organizations, that we help them to identify some of the risks, to manage those risks or to mitigate those risks, and ultimately make sure that we boost their reputation and credibility. Because once you've achieved the Procurement Excellence Program or one of those awards, you go onto a global database and you're able to proudly showcase that you as an organization have achieved that particular standard and that you are operating according to global best practice. So in a nutshell, it's only impossible if you've never begun. And we want to try and encourage everybody as far as we possibly can to start the journey and to embark on that journey with us. Let us support you. Let us help you to actually achieve your ultimate goal, whether that be the MCIPS designation as an individual or whether that be from an organization perspective as well. And that's it from my side. You can see the email address in the bottom left-hand corner at the bottom. If you would like any information in terms of delivery, in terms of the different routes to MCIPS, or from an organization perspective, if you've got a team that you would like to sign up for membership or competency assessments or skills training or any one of the routes, we can offer a blended solution to you as an organization and ensure that as an organization you start to become more effective and more efficient in 2022.
So now we'll just have a quick testimonial, I would say, from Sandra Morenzi. She's one of our long-standing CIPS members, part of our Gauteng Volunteer Branch Secretary, and we'd love to share her journey with you.
When I became a member, just mentioning that I am a member of CIPS, it just started opening doors for me. The employment agents will just call you. It just made my career easy. And then I decided, no, let me now start enrolling. And my next question, I think, was on the value of MCIPS. Here I can say a lot because they want me to give practical examples, but I'm an advocate of ethical conduct. I'm an advocate of integrity, and the value that MCIPS gives you is an instant and constant reminder of ethical conduct. So you just know, having those letters after your name means in everything that you do, you must, one, not drag CIPS, the name CIPS, the body, the professional body, into disrepute. So the fact that I am MCIPS, already it means in everything that I do, I have to conduct myself in the highest level that anyone else can be. So MCIPS has helped me show the world that I am at the top of my game. I have been invited to a number of conferences. I have been given various tasks that you not have had been exposed to, but because you are an MCIPS and you are a member of CIPS, those tools, those templates, there's so much knowledge that is in there that helps you to quickly go in and look whatever information you are looking for. I had so much experience within the mining industry, but when I left to join the financial services where I am right now, I had not much clue of what's happening within the financial services, but just being a member of CIPS, it helped me so much as I tapped into that knowledge. It felt like I was already within the industry for a long time. So it boosted my skills so much, it enabled me as a leader to evolve as well, because you acquire the relevant skills for whatever level you are in, whether you're still at the entry level, whether you are there or you are at the strategic level, you have the knowledge and the skills, you gain the skills that are needed in that area that you are with. So you find a lot of students saying, but how do I apply work-related examples when I'm not working yet to those who are just not working? For those who are working, it's easy to link what's happening within work and the studies. It makes studying very easy. But for those who are not working, the amount of resources that you get by being a member of CIPS helps you, because there's a lot of examples from the people who are already working. So you use those case studies, and that really gives you a lot of knowledge that you can demonstrate during exams. Okay, the last question that I was given was, I must give my favorite quote or statement. So I like this one. The best form of saying is doing. This is more of like our family statement. Don't just say, I'm going to eat. Don't just say, I'm going to sweep. So as a student, if you say, I want to pass, ask yourself, what have I done? What am I doing to make sure that I pass? You need to study hard. You need to read all your course material. You need to read all the presentations that you get. There's a lot of preparation that you need to put in place. Engage with other students as well. It helps. I've got one person that helped me a lot, and it came through these WhatsApp groups, and that is Alex. He's based in. He would coach you. He would help you to say, do this, do that, and engaging on those platforms, it does help. And this saying, it helps you to say, don't just say, I want to pass. I want to be a level 6. What are you doing? I want to be a great procurement professional. What are you doing?
I mentioned in my presentation that CIPS for Business can offer you all 3 routes. So I would urge you to also reach out to us because one of the things that I did also mention is the cost implication. And there's a reason why I mentioned that. And that's because CIPS Africa has preferential pricing for students in Africa. The problem that you're going to have if you just purely go on the website is that you're also more than likely at some point in time going to see that there's a difference between the price that you get via the website, because not everything is translated back and picks up where you are, where you're coming from. So I would urge you to also reach out to us. We've provided the email address, SAenquiries@cips.org.za. We can provide you with details on every single route, all of the details that you require, all of the costings. We can explain the differences between each of the different routes for you. So if you want to have an individual conversation or a discussion with us, we can take you through the benefits of each, and obviously make sure that from your perspective, because each of you has different backgrounds, different qualifications, different experience. And that is all taken into consideration in terms of which route we would actually put forward or recommend to you. So you can look at any of the routes, but I think it's important that you get all of the information, or as much information as you can, to make an informed decision as well. So please reach out to us, engage with us. We are there to try and make sure that we support all of the students across Africa as best that we possibly can. And one of the reasons, one of the factors is that we do have preferential pricing. So we've had instances where people have engaged and have got the developed world pricing, and then obviously there's a little bit of sadness, and people ask, well, why didn't you tell me? Why didn't you engage with me? And this is why we're also doing these information sessions, so that people are aware that you can contact us, you can reach out to us. We are here for you. So please do that. Don't do yourself a disservice, and just go ahead, test, check, ask, get as much information as you can before you start. It's important that you're on the right program to start, because you don't want to start on a program and then fall off because you feel it's the wrong program, or it's not quite suited to you, or it's not covering what you intended or what you actually wanted out of it. So have the conversations up front. We're happy to have those conversations with you and make sure that we empower you with all the right information so that you can make that informed call. And when it comes to payments and things like that,